The Buffalo Bills have made a bold move that has left many fans scratching their heads. On the surface, it feels abrupt, even unsettling, but sometimes the decisions made behind the scenes have a bigger picture that isn't immediately obvious. Brandon Beane, the team's general manager, has stepped into a new era of leadership. And while the firing of Sean McDermott has caused a stir, there's a strategic pattern that has played out in other successful organizations over the years. It's a move that might actually set the team up for something greater in the long run, even if it doesn't feel right in the moment. Fans love Sean McDermott, and it's easy to understand why. He brought Buffalo back from decades of mediocrity and turned them into a winning franchise. But now, it seems the focus is shifting from building a competitive team to breaking through that final barrier, the elusive step that turns a great team into a championship contender. There's a historical precedent for what's happening in Buffalo, and it's worth examining. Across the NFL and in other sports, we've seen teams remove a successful, defensively minded coach only to bring in an offensive-focused head coach and almost immediately find success at the highest level. Take the example of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who fired Tony Dungy after consistent regular season performance but a lack of postseason triumph. They hired John Gruden, an offensive-minded coach, and in his very first season, the team captured the Super Bowl. Gruden inherited a foundation built by Dungy, but his offensive adjustments were the key difference that pushed them over the edge. A similar story unfolded with the Denver Broncos, who replaced John Fox with Gary Kubiak. Fox had built a winning team and maintained a high regular season win percentage, but playoff success was limited. Kubiak, with his offensive mindset, guided the team to a Super Bowl victory, using a Hall of Fame quarterback to maximize results. These examples demonstrate a clear pattern. The transition from a defensively focused, foundational coach to an offensively minded strategist often leads to rapid success at the championship level. This is where Buffalo is right now. McDermott was brilliant at establishing a winning culture and building a team capable of competing year after year. He brought stability and credibility to a franchise that had struggled for decades. Yet, the Bills are at a point where the roster is stacked, the quarterback is elite, and the ceiling has become more important than the floor. The next step isn't just winning games in the regular season. It's about taking the final leap into championship territory. Brandon Beane's decision, while controversial, seems to follow this logic. The goal now is to bring in a coach who can fully leverage the talent on offense, create explosive plays, and maximize the potential of Josh Allen and the supporting cast. It's not about discrediting McDermott's accomplishments. It's about making the hard choice to aim even higher. In analyzing this transition, it's important to note the context within the organization. Brandon Beane has taken control in a way that consolidates power and influence, essentially becoming the central figure in all football decisions. The president of football operations role has shifted, with ownership stepping back from day-to-day football matters, giving Beane the autonomy to reshape the team according to his vision. The firing of McDermott is just the first move in this larger strategic plan. While the execution may have felt abrupt or poorly communicated, the underlying approach mirrors the successful models of other organizations that have made similar changes and achieved remarkable results. One of the major reasons this move feels so jarring to fans is the respect and admiration that existed for Sean McDermott. He wasn't just a coach. He was the symbol of the team's resurgence. Players, fans, and the broader Bills Mafia were deeply invested in him, which makes the sudden departure feel almost like a betrayal. Yet, if we look at the specific needs of the roster and the path to a Super Bowl, the focus shifts to maximizing offensive potential. A defensively minded coach built the foundation, and now the strategy is to bring in an offensive mind capable of turning a strong team into a championship-winning machine. History shows us that this approach has been effective repeatedly. The defensive coach lays the groundwork, and the offensive coach pushes the team over the finish line. As discussions about potential successors heat up, names like Clint Kubiak, Mike McDaniel, Brian Daboll, and even Mike Tomlin come up frequently. Each brings a unique perspective, but the current trend leans toward offensive-minded leadership. The aim is clear: put Josh Allen in a position to dominate, ensure the offense is dynamic and unpredictable, and sustain a level of scoring that keeps opponents on the back foot every week. Fans want to see consistent 30-plus point games, a high-powered offense that can overwhelm teams, and a strategy that doesn't leave outcomes dependent on penalties, referee calls, or luck in tight situations. The next coach needs to unlock the full potential of this roster, and the path to that seems to require a shift in philosophy at the top. The fallout from McDermott's firing also highlights the complexity of this decision. It's not just a coaching change, it's a cultural shift within the team. Reports surfaced of players being blindsided, expressing frustration, and feeling disappointed in how the transition was handled. Public relations missteps, including poorly worded press releases, only exacerbated the situation, making fans and players question the timing and manner of the decision. Despite these optics, the underlying strategy remains consistent with long-term planning for championship success. McDermott's departure, while painful for those who admired him, is part of a calculated risk aimed at achieving a goal the team has chased for years but never quite reached: a Super Bowl victory. It's also worth noting that McDermott's legacy isn't erased by this move. He was the most winning coach in the NFL over the last 6 years, and his contributions to Buffalo's rise cannot be overstated. The team's roster, culture, and confidence were built under his leadership, and these foundations now give the new offensive-minded coach the tools necessary to succeed. In a sense, McDermott created the conditions that allow this next phase to be possible, much like other teams that have followed a similar path from defensive excellence to offensive supremacy. The challenge now is translating that foundation into postseason triumph. Looking forward, the strategy appears twofold. First, solidify offensive dominance under a new coach capable of leveraging Josh Allen's talent and the team's offensive weapons. Second, maintain defensive excellence while integrating new schemes and approaches that complement an aggressive, high-scoring style. This dual approach, offensive innovation built on a defensive foundation, mirrors the successful models we've seen across the league and creates a realistic path toward championship success. It's a high-stakes gamble, and fans are understandably emotional, but the framework is there. Brandon Beane is positioning the team to aim higher, to take the next step, and to finally break through the barrier that has held them back in recent postseason runs. In essence, what we are witnessing is more than a firing. It's a strategic realignment aimed at maximizing potential. The Bills Mafia may feel conflicted, torn between respect for a beloved coach and hope for the future. But history shows that teams willing to make these difficult decisions often reap the rewards. The transition to an offensive-minded head coach, paired with the defensive foundation left by McDermott, is the kind of calculated risk that has propelled other franchises to Super Bowl glory. The challenge lies in execution, communication, and ensuring that players remain motivated and aligned with the vision. This is the moment where talent, strategy, and leadership intersect, and the outcome will define the next era of Buffalo Bills football. Even with all the controversy surrounding the coaching change, the real story lies in the roster and the moves that Brandon Beane has already made to prepare the team for the future. Just in the last 24 hours, the Bills executed about 10 roster transactions, ranging from future contracts to strategic signings, signaling that while the optics of McDermott's firing dominate the conversation, the organization is quietly focused on strengthening the squad. These moves may seem minor to the casual observer, but each one reflects a larger vision of building a championship-caliber team. The goal is not just to win games in the regular season, but to construct a team capable of dominating in the playoffs, executing with precision, and avoiding the mistakes that have previously derailed promising runs. Part of this process is maximizing the potential of Josh Allen. The quarterback has evolved into one of the league's most dynamic and versatile players, capable of putting up jaw-dropping numbers on any given Sunday. But even elite talent needs the right system around him to thrive consistently. That's where the next head coach becomes critical. Offensive-minded leadership has the power to unlock even greater production, turning Allen's skill set into a machine that can consistently put up 30-plus points per game, dominate time of possession, and exploit defensive weaknesses week after week. The team already possesses key offensive pieces including elite receivers, a solid running game, and a strengthened defensive line. The next coach must integrate these pieces into a cohesive system that maximizes efficiency, exploits matchups, and gives Buffalo the best possible chance to succeed at the highest level. Yet, building a Super Bowl contender isn't just about offense. Defense remains crucial, and McDermott's legacy in that regard cannot be overstated. He created a unit capable of competing with the best, providing balance and resilience. The challenge for the next coaching staff will be to maintain that defensive strength while implementing offensive innovations that don't compromise the team's identity. This delicate balance, preserving what works while aggressively pushing forward in other areas, is what separates good teams from great ones. It's a challenge that has tested many organizations over the years, but those who succeed often do so because they respect the foundation while innovating strategically in areas that can create a competitive edge. Brandon Beane's approach also reflects a broader trend in professional football. Teams that consistently chase incremental improvement often plateau, while those willing to take calculated risks at critical moments achieve transformational results. Firing a beloved coach isn't easy, and the backlash from fans and players is understandable. Yet when you examine the roster, the talent, and the potential for offensive innovation, it becomes clear that this move is less about personal disagreements or missteps and more about positioning the team for long-term success. Beane appears to be thinking several steps ahead, focusing on ceiling rather than floor, aiming to break through barriers that have held the team back in recent playoff campaigns. In the current coaching search, several names dominate discussions within the league and among fans. Clint Kubiak stands out as a promising offensive-minded candidate with a pedigree and innovative thinking that could align with the team's vision. Mike McDaniel brings creativity and a modern offensive approach, while Brian Daboll has proven success in developing quarterbacks and maximizing offensive talent. Even Mike Tomlin is occasionally mentioned, though his defensive expertise represents a different philosophy. Each of these candidates brings strengths, but the overarching trend points towards someone capable of pushing the offense to new heights, building on the foundation that McDermott established. The goal is clear: turn potential into dominance, and dominance into a Super Bowl run. Off-the-field dynamics also play a significant role in this transition. Reports indicate that the firing caught several players off guard, creating tension and uncertainty within the locker room. This is a natural consequence of sudden organizational change, particularly when the outgoing coach is respected and beloved. The team's leadership now faces the challenge of maintaining morale, ensuring trust, and reinforcing a shared commitment to winning despite the disruption. The next head coach will not only need to implement an effective offensive system, but also navigate the human side of football, keeping players motivated, engaged, and aligned with the vision for championship success. How the locker room responds to this transition will be a key factor in the team's ability to perform under pressure in high-stakes games. One of the most important lessons from other successful teams is that a coach who can combine offensive innovation with respect for existing defensive structures often achieves remarkable results. McDermott's defensive-minded approach gave the team stability and resilience, and now the offensive-minded successor has the chance to complement that strength. This is the pattern that has led teams to Super Bowl victories. A strong foundation paired with aggressive innovation in areas that can create separation from opponents. The strategy isn't just theoretical. It has been proven repeatedly in NFL history. Teams that understand the balance between maintaining what works and aggressively innovating in key areas consistently outperform those that cling to the status quo. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. Shockwaves are rippling through the league after explosive rumors surfaced out of Buffalo suggesting that head coach Sean McDermott has made a dramatic and immediate decision involving one of the team's biggest stars. According to multiple sources close to the organization, a heated confrontation inside the locker room escalated beyond repair, forcing the coaching staff to act swiftly and decisively. The incident, described by insiders as intense and unlike anything seen before this season, allegedly involved a verbal altercation that crossed the line. Voices were raised, teammates were stunned into silence, and the atmosphere reportedly turned toxic within minutes. One source claims that McDermott, known publicly for his calm demeanor and emphasis on culture, snapped when the confrontation continued despite attempts to de-escalate. What has fueled speculation across the league is a phrase attributed to the head coach during the aftermath. Several witnesses allege McDermott made his position unmistakably clear, shouting, "He is out of here," before exiting the locker room. Whether those words were spoken exactly as reported or later embellished remains uncertain, but the message appears to have landed with full force inside the building. The player at the center of the storm has not been officially named, yet the description as a star has only intensified the buzz. This is not believed to be a fringe roster move or a symbolic punishment. Around the league, executives are quietly monitoring the situation, anticipating potential fallout that could include a sudden release, a suspension, or a discrete separation framed as a mutual decision. For McDermott, the rumored move would underline his long-standing belief that no individual, regardless of talent, stand above the team's standards. For the Bills, however, the consequences could be significant both on the field and within the locker room hierarchy. As of now, the organization has remained silent, declining to confirm or deny the reports. Until clarity emerges, the story exists in the uneasy space between rumor and reality. But one thing is certain. Something volatile happened behind closed doors, and its impact may soon be impossible to contain. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.